hits the spot every time. Every time. The Whisper Wind Elderflower Ale never misses, does it? Certainly not. Certainly not. Oh, hello there. Good to see you in this fascinating little town. One of my favorite customers back to see me. Well, yes, you're one of my favorite customers. I told you that last time. Do you not remember? Rude. Well, never mind. Oh, you have come to return my crest. Thank you ever so much. Yes, I know that's why you were here. That's why I'm here, didn't you know? You did just recently return from your adventures in the underground city of Napwin, correct? Never mind how I know that. Anyway, thank you very much for returning my crest of a dwarven chieftain. I trust that it got you into the city without any trouble, for the most part. Good, 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 good. See, just, out of curiosity, did anyone there happen to remember a silly, insignificant little gnome named Zot from the past? Oh, they did? Oh, well, was it positive, the things they had to say about me? Oh. Well, no matter. I still have the favor of a chieftain, whether they like it or not. That's something that I am very, very slow to part with. As you know, seeing as you had to trade to even get to borrow it, so thank you very much for returning my crest. You know, I think it may be time. It's been quite a while since I've actually traversed to the city of Napwin myself. Maybe it's time to give it another go, shall we? Maybe. What? Yeah. Oh, well, yes, you traded those fascinating rings to me, but I was to keep those. That wasn't for... Oh, the rose. Oh, you remember that, do you? What? Oh, no, nothing. Of course I have it. Where exactly would I have put that? Let's all... Ah, here we are. Yes, quite the fascinating item, isn't it? The rose of never-melting ice. Yes. Looks almost glass, but very, very cold to the touch. Always cold to the touch. A gift from a zephyr herself. Quite fascinating. Yes, I do believe the deal was you return my crest and I return the rose to you. Yes, I do believe that. You wouldn't want to part with us for some coin, would you? Or perhaps any of my other wares here. You know, I am very fond of trading, sometimes. So, I have quite a few fascinating things here that I'm sure that you would enjoy, yes. How about just, instead of some of these fantastical items that I often show you, what about something just very, very practical? Say, a brand new pair of bracers for your wrists. Yes, just a nice, sturdy, well-made protection here. Got these little loops on one side, and then you just, put the little buckle through there, and you can pull it tight and adjust it, so they fit almost any wrist. No, you don't need any. Alright. That's alright, that's alright. How about, oh, you never know when a traveler like yourself might need a canteen. Carry some water with you. This purchase could very well save your life someday, you know. You never know, a traveler such as yourself, when you may be stuck somewhere that you're unable to get clean water. You never know. Very smart purchase, I would think. No. Well, that's alright, that's alright. You might want to think about that one, because it would actually probably be quite beneficial for you. What else might you like? Oh, this one over here. It's, I suppose it's actually not incredibly practical, like my other two very, very good suggestions. But this one is a very fascinating box. I just received it from a international trader. Yes, this was from a peddler from Kanjagar. Fascinating metal little contraption here with all these little holes cut out of it. And of course a nice little latch here that you could put a lock on, keep things safe. Yes, quite a fascinating little trinket box. I'm sure travelers such as yourself, you have any manner of little trinkets and things. In fact, I seem to remember that your purpose for going to Napwin was a very specific one, wasn't it? Yes. You were looking for an hourglass. A very specific hourglass. In fact, a relic of a very old ritual magic, right? Did you happen to find this hourglass of yours? You did. Well, I suppose that's one relic down. Penham should be pleased, if in fact she is actually willing to help you on this crazy scheme of yours. That's one. What exactly do you intend to do next, mysterious traveler, hunter of relics? Oh, you know the location of another one. Well, that's convenient, I suppose. Where exactly will you be traveling to next, then? I'm sorry, where? The forest. The forest that's between Danwood and Tivermac and Hazelbend, that little area, that forest. Really? You think there's a relic in there? Oh. Oh, I see. So you had a relic and lost one in that forest. Well, that was quite foolish of you. Oh, you didn't know it was a relic at that time. Right, I suppose that sort of makes it better, doesn't it? So you need to return to this forest to try to find this relic. Is it just laying on the ground somewhere? Because I hate to inform you, but most things don't stay laying on the ground very long in a strange forest such as that. A goblin, you say? Fascinating. And how exactly do you intend to trade with this goblin, per se? If you traded this relic to this goblin, I assume they would be quite hesitant to trade it back. You know, they're not just going to give it back to you. So you might want to think about what you're going to offer this goblin in return. Baby teeth? You've done your research, haven't you? A bag of baby teeth. Now that is something that I do not get a request for very often. I can assure you of that. You know, I might have something, but it would definitely cost you. I mean, they're quite hard to come by, you know. I mean, obviously every person loses baby teeth all the time, but to actually have someone collect enough to put into a bag, it's quite the process, really, and you definitely get quite a few looks if you just talk to healers and, you know, extractors and people like that pull teeth. Oof, it's not really a pleasant business dealing in something like teeth, so it would definitely be a pretty penny. Or perhaps, just throwing it out there, perhaps a rose of never melting ice. Maybe. You don't think that it would be worth this? Well, let me tell you, you're not going to find a bag of teeth from anywhere else. I can guarantee you that. Clea does not have that in her shop. Isabel can't just make it for you, even if you were to go to Danwood or even Eshon or wherever else you travel to. I guarantee you will not be able to find anywhere else that is able to sell you a bag of baby teeth. Well, you think about it, all right? Perhaps we could still sweeten the deal a little bit if you're so inclined. In fact, if you are going to that particular forest, do you know what that forest is called, perchance? No. Well, it doesn't have a very pleasant name, you see, because it is not a very pleasant place. It used to have a pleasant name back when it was a pleasant place, but in the last 200-300 years or so, it's become quite a dark and mysterious sort of forest. It's not very big, and so you would think that it wouldn't really cause much of a problem, but you know, there used to be paths going through the forest, and you could travel through them, but since then it has become quite foolish to travel through that forest, unless you absolutely have to. You know, I might actually have a map of that forest. It's called Shadowmoor. Shadowmoor forest. Moor like 2 O's in it. Moor, Shadowmoor. It's like I said, not a place that many people go, but you know, old Zod gets around now and then, so I have traversed most of the forest at one point or another. Some of my findings might not be completely up to date because, as you know, we gnomes live a very, 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 very long time. But it would most likely still be useful to have sort of a map of your surroundings if you might be interested in that. So perhaps a bag of baby teeth, should I have one, and a very valuable map that you won't find anywhere else for your rose of never melting ice. Perhaps. All right. I like maybes. We can work with a maybe. All right. Let's see. Where are those little scrolls? There we go. This one. Not that one. I don't know why I even have that one. Here we go. Go to this one. Yes. Right. Shadowmoor Forest. Here. Take a look. Take a look with me. Here we are. The map of Shadowmoor Forest. Now, as I said, this is not a map that you would be able to get from any other peddler in the kingdom. Actually, probably not from anyone at all in the kingdom. I have a very good map maker as a friend, you see, and they're quite good at what they do, let's just say that. Anyway, so this is a map of the forest that you have decided so necessary to travel to. Now, I have not been to this forest extensively, so there are a few areas of this map that you will notice not very many landmarks. And it has been a while since I've traversed, this sort of region of the forest, so those things might not be completely up to date, but it will at least give you an idea, alright? So just to get sort of a sense of your bearings, this over here is the quaint little town of Danwood. And then, much further north, way up here, is the town of Whisperwind. So you'll be going to Danwood first. Then down this way, if you were to continue following the river down, you would eventually get to Hazelbend on the one side and, Eshon close by on the other. And then this is the way when you went to Tevermac that you took. And then if you were to take this path up to the north, way over here, up in sort of the cliffs, you would find the entrance to the dwarven city of Brackengold. Now, if you thought that it was difficult to get into Napwin with this, then Brackengold is a whole other playing field, let me tell you. We don't have time for that story, that's another day. But this is Shadowmoor. Now, the entrance over here by Danwood, you will notice there is a bridge, but there is also a fence. And it's actually a much larger fence than this. This is just sort of a representation. A fence that shields the town from this little bridge and anything that might wander across it. Because there is quite an awful infestation of very large spiders and spider creatures known as the Arachnia. So that is very much a region that is quite difficult to traverse. Now, for the most part, at least the last time I was there, the Arachnia mostly stayed in this little segment here. I think at one point the villagers tried to sort of stave them off and keep the path alive here. Although now they may have very well spread out more, so again, I can't really attest to that. But at least this area up here is very, very, very dangerous. You do not want to go wandering through there. But there is a little bridge here, and this will take you on to another little path. It's mostly overgrown now, but it's still sort of there. To the ruins of a little village that used to be known as Gillis. Now, Gillis was originally a human settlement long, long ago. People who didn't want sort of the expectations of life and the society in a town like Danwood, and so they sort of made their own far more lax town of Gillis, where they were able to live off of the forest and whatever it was that they felt that they needed. However, shortly after the town was finished, it was unfortunately overrun by quite a large herd of goblins. And, the town was abandoned. Some people were killed, some fought and escaped, but overall the town was deemed sort of a lost cause and it was abandoned. Now, you will most likely not need to go to the ruins of Gillis, though. You said that you were looking for a goblin that lived deeper within the heart of the forest, hmm? Okay, so she most likely lived somewhere in this sort of region. Like I said, I don't know all that much about what perils may lie there. There are a few different places within the forest of Shadowmoor that has a few different ruins and things from much, much older civilizations, but unfortunately I don't know much about those. So I guess she might live here in these little ruined buildings there. So that might be a good place for you to go. Now, if you go to Danwood, there is a way, if you wanted to get over this fence, you could, and you could go this way. However, like I said, then you are walking right into, or at least right next to, the realm of the Arachnia. And you never know how much they've expanded, or what they might do, or what sort of traps they might set for you. So, my suggestion, I know that it will take much, much longer, but I think for the safety of it, you will agree that it is very worth it. I would travel to Danwood, then travel south from Danwood down to Eshan, cross the river, come up to Hazelbend, and then travel on this very safe, well-worn path between Hazelbend and Tivermac. Travel this way, and then take the road north. This path here is really the only path through the forest that is actually well protected. Yes. Now, it's still not used incredibly often because most of the dwarves who live in Bracken Gulch stay in Bracken Gulch, and most other races are not actually allowed into there to trade. But it is somewhat used by some very rare peddlers like myself. So, this is really the only safe path. I know it's inconvenient to have to go all the way around, but trust me, I think that is the safe path that you should take. Oh, this? Well, there is quite a large manor house right in the forest there, right sort of on the edge of the lake and the forest here. It is actually a very peculiar person lives there. Yes, he's one of my most eclectic providers of fascinating things. In fact, there are some things that he sells me that he attempts to sell me that even I would not touch. Yes, very, very, very strange and unusual magical items. He's a collector of sorts, I suppose. So, I do have that on my map here. There's somewhat of a bit of a path here. The entrance to it is not quite as open as the map might suggest. It's a bit hard to find, but once you find the path, you can follow it to the manor house. It's very difficult to get to the manor house without being seen, so it's a good thing that I am on good rapport with the man who lives in that manor house. Anyway, I'm sure that won't be of interest to you. I would suggest giving that house a very wide berth if you must, but if you are looking for a goblin that seemed to live alone in the forest, I would think that she was somewhere in here. Yes, that would be my best bet. And as I said, please, please take the time, go to Danwood, down and across and up. That's really the only safe path that I could guarantee. Mostly guarantee. Okay? There we are. See, quite a lot of valuable information on this map. And I guarantee you a more in-depth study which could certainly be useful as well. And like I said, nowhere else in the kingdom will you find a map like this. So, very valuable map. Very hard to come by bag of baby teeth. Perhaps is worth a little old rose of never melting ice. Maybe. Maybe. All right, maybe. We're getting there. We're getting there. Maybes are good. I like maybes. I can work with maybes. You know, that's one of those things that I just like about you so much. You are so reasonable. Yes, you are quite good listening to reason. And maybe not quite right at first. It might take a little bit of persuading, but eventually you see the logic in things. You do. I appreciate that about you. That's why you're one of my favorite customers. Hits the spot every time, doesn't it? Elderflower ale. So, these relics. You're really doing this. You're really going to spend possibly years of your life searching for these strange little items to undo something that personally I'm still not completely convinced should be undone. You're willing to do this just because a ghost of an elf told you to. A prophecy. Why does that not surprise me? Why is it always a prophecy? No one ever does anything because they just want to do it. Everyone has some big, grand reason for it, don't they? A prophecy. Of course it's a prophecy. What sort of prophecy would this be? Oh, you have a copy of it. Oh, how convenient. Well, look at that. Oh. Interesting. Oh, it's written in Elven, is it? Right. Dire foe of newfound... Well, of course I can read Elven. Why wouldn't I be able to read Elven? Did you forget my speech last time about how very, 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 very old gnomes get to be? You forget that I was around in this kingdom when elves were common. Yes. And they, for the most part, learned to speak common, but there were quite a few of them who preferred to especially write in their own language, so it was very beneficial to be able to read it. Did you forget? Why would I not be able to read Elven? That's just foolish, really. Alright, so let's see. Although I guess that does beg the question as to why you can read Elven. Curious. Alright, that's a discussion for another day. Let's look at this prophecy, shall we? Dire foe of newfound might. Well, that's ominous. Threatens overthrow the light. The light. Oh. That's not a very good beginning to a prophecy, is it? Relics scattered west and east. Power bound must be released. Well, that sounds oddly specific to our whole situation here in Whisperwind, doesn't it? With the hollow and the corrupted magic and the binding ritual. Though why it must be released if the dire foe is coming, I feel like that would be sort of working backwards, don't you? Prophecies rarely turn out how we think they do, don't they? The vessel of name once renowned, now cloaked by curse and time unfound, must be raised by keeper's hand, lest darkness reign throughout the land. The vessel. What sort of a vessel do you think that this is? Oh, you think it's a person? Why would it be a person? Not necessarily. I mean, a vessel could be anything. It could be a ship. It could be a cup. It could be anything. Why did you immediately go to person? That's a little morbid, don't you think? Oh, is that... You're pleased by that? Good. I'm glad that you're pleased. Yes, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. of name once renowned, I guess. Maybe that sounds more like a person, but things, places can have renown too, can't they? Maybe it's not a person. Must be raised by keeper's hand. Well, that sounds like a person, or at least something else that has hands. Lest darkness reign throughout the land. Puzzling. Puzzling. Well, so this is your mission in life, is it? To fulfill this strange, morbid prophecy and attempt to bring about not the end of the world? Something like that. Darkness reigning throughout the land. I mean, that doesn't sound good, and we'll be right back to the Shadow Wars, won't we? Yes. Well, that was ages and ages and ages ago. I'm sure someone like you has maybe never even heard of the Shadow Wars, but it was a very dark time. I can tell you that. Yes. So you showed this prophecy to Penham's ghost, the poor Penham who had to give her life to seal away that awful energy of the Hollow, the corrupted, evil, magical energy that was pouring from it. And she's really willing to help you. Well, I mean, I suppose it's good that you're not doing it alone. So, to Shadowmoor Forest, I suppose, eh? Well, I cannot say that I envy the task ahead of you. Well, if you're going to Shadowmoor, let me give you one more thing, all right? You give me the rose of never melting ice. I will give you the map, the bag of baby teeth, and just to be on the safe side, anti-venom. Before you enter the forest, I want you to drink the contents of this little vial, and it should protect you from any sort of poisonous creatures that live in that forest, including the arachnia. Now, they can still trap you in their webs and things like that, but at least if they try to bite you or poison you in some way, they won't be able to, all right? And also, I suppose, if your goblin friend has any sort of venomous weapons or something that she's coated, in their venom, something like that, this will protect you from that too. This one I will just, you don't have to give me anything else. Just those 3 things and I'll take the rose. Sound fair? Personally, I think that sounds more than fair. Good. All right, well, here is your anti-venom and your map. Now let me see, bag of baby teeth. I don't normally put things like that out because it's so incredibly rare that anyone would even know what to do with them, really. We're down here in this... here we go. Here we are. Sounds like a good amount in there. Yes, I think that should please your goblin friend. Oh, not friend, sorry. Your goblin acquaintance. Frenemy, I suppose. Yes, that should be quite prestigious. Quite the gift for a goblin. You may also want to bring some other sort of jewelry or something, or something shiny. They like shiny things. Any sort of shiny really will do. But this will certainly get your goblin friend's attention. That's for sure. Alright, well, there's those 3 things for you. And I will keep the rose. Yes? Excellent. Pleasure doing business with you as always. As always. Yes, I'm sure I can sell this quite quickly, actually. Anyone south of the kingdom would be very, very pleased with something so fantastical as this. In fact, I'm sure if I... Never mind. Never mind. We'll discuss that another day too, I suppose. Maybe. Well, I suppose if you're heading to Shadowmoor Forest, I should wish you luck. You never know what you might find in a place such as that. But hopefully, armed with your baby teeth and your anti-venom and your map, that will help you along a bit. You want to know the location of some of the other relics, do you? What makes you think that a silly old peddler like me would know where to find such fascinating and rare items? Okay, all right. Yes, that does sound something I would know something about, doesn't it? You get to Shadowmoor Forest. You come back with a relic. Then maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk. I'll give this prophecy of yours some thought. Oh, you're sure? Yes, I'll keep this copy. I mean, I do have quite a good memory, you know. We gnomes tend to. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have it written down as well. All right. I will keep the prophecy. I'll give it some thought. And then maybe the next time our paths cross, we can discuss what I may or may not know about the other relics. You just get more and more interesting every time that I meet you. That's another reason you're one of my favorite customers. I like being surprised, intrigued. It doesn't happen very often, living as long as I have and just seeing as many strange and fascinating things as I've seen. But you still tend to surprise me now and then. I like that about you. Well, I suppose you'll be off relatively soon then for your next adventure. You don't seem to stay in one place very long, do you? No. Well, I suppose that's probably for the best. Get all of these things as quickly as you can, especially if there's some dire foe on the horizon. It most likely won't be too long before we cross paths again, I would think. Strange traveler. Good luck in the forest. Till next time.